When things go wrong as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile but you have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must but do not ever quit. Success is a failure turned inside out. Let's talk and clear the clouds of doubt.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another exciting edition of your favorite program, Let's Talk, of course, on your favorite channel, Huda TV, because I keep saying that because Huda TV, of course, is the premier and pioneer English language Islamic channel broadcast in the entire universe, but perhaps I'm biased because I work here. Having said that, you guys, we have an interesting episode nonetheless, inshallah. I want to talk to the youth out there who are living in the fast lane. That's right. Have you bought the new iPhone 5? Do you have the latest Samsung Galaxy 1 or 2 or 3 or the Galaxy Note 2 or 3? Do you have one of these fancy iPads or Samsung tablets? Are you wearing right now the latest Michael Jordan tennis shoes or Kobe Bryant tennis shoes or LeBron James basketball sneakers? Did you just purchase for $19.99 at Target or wherever your favorite rapper's latest CD? Did you just purchase a car, a brand new Honda Civic or Accord with leather and a CD player and automatic windows with that low interest loan that you just got from the bank? Are you moving so fast you don't have time to look right or left and you don't know what you left behind? Are you moving so fast that you don't know where you're going? And that's the question we want to talk about. Where are we going? If you're one of these kids, man, in high school or a college student, you think you're living fast, you're dating the prettiest girl in school, and you left your Islamic values and background and principles, we want to get you back on track. We want to see, we know you're moving fast, but the question is, where are you going? You guys, thank you for watching Let's Talk. I have two very, very special guests. I certainly appreciate them being here. Of course, first of all, Mustafa Yusuf from Egypt. Thank you so much for being here, Brother Mustafa.
Thank you, brother.
Of course, we also have, thank you so much, Brother Hassan Abdul Haq, for all the way from the United States as well. Thank you, brother, so much for joining me today.
You're welcome.
I certainly appreciate it. And of course, we have our studio guests, which I enjoy, and I love having you guys on the program. I want you guys, in the beginning of this program, if you can, just tell me your name, where you're from, and a little bit about the youth in your country. What do you think the state of the youth is? Are they living the fast life, or are they focused on Islam? Go ahead, brother.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa
barakatuh. My name is Sadat. I'm originally from Kosovo. I live in Sweden. So I'm grown up in Sweden, so I think it would be more suitable if I would speak about Sweden.
Sure.
I've been working a little bit with Dawah in Sweden, so I have a little bit experience with youth. This is what you are talking about, these kind of things. They're always thinking about, getting the new thing, new iPhone, waiting for it, or the new Samsung phone, or the new shoes, or whatever it might be. This is a big problem, with the youth. It is an ideology which they want them to think this way. They want them to be busy with these things. So they won't have any time for any contemplating on other stuff like, religion, which is much more important to them and their personality. I believe that if they would have religion first and then thinking about these things, I don't think it would be such a problem, because religion is the thing which gives them an order in everything. So having a new iPhone doesn't necessarily mean that that is a bad thing. You can actually use it for a good thing. You can use the newest MacBook Pro with Retina display, for a good cause, doing something nice with it. So it doesn't necessarily mean that that is something bad. But of course, if you don't have the religion and running after these things, you will end up running always running.
Brother, I'm so happy you said that, because I didn't mean to make it sound like it's bad to have iPhone. No, it's fine. No. That's what we use it for, right? So in your perspective, some people might say, look, the youth, they just pass through this stage in their life, then they grow out of it. Do you believe that, or do you say, no, this is something more dangerous, this materialism?
No, I believe this is more dangerous than that.
Why?
Because it is as with other stuff, when you get used to it, it's difficult to get away from it.
Right.
If you have a bad friendship, it's always, I remember when I started to practice Islam, because I was in martial arts before also. I was also in media before, in newspapers and all this stuff. I had a lot of friends. I had bad friends also. When I started to practice Islam, I felt it was really hard, to go away from this bad friendship. So with everything that you get used to, it is always more difficult to leave it.
Right.
So if you have been running for the newest things, for more than half of your life, so I believe that would be very difficult.
Right. Brother, what do you think, thank you, brother, what do you think is the biggest problem facing the Muslim youth in Sweden, or some of the major problems that you see in your dawah work over there in Sweden?
I believe there is a lot of potential, when it comes to Islam in Sweden, if there were just enough, dais. The youth, they listen. They do listen, and all the things which are happening around the world, it is just contributing, to this, whatever it might be, and if whether it is, things which are happening in Afghanistan or Iraq or in Somalia or in America, whatever it might be, it is contributing and making the people, more curious about Islam. What is this Islam? So the youth are definitely they are listening, but we just don't have, enough people reaching to them.
Yes,
Giving them, the information. I believe also there is something else more important that, given information can be done in many ways. And doing it in a proper way, I think this is the more problem.
Yes, subhanAllah. And by the way, brother, I don't want to, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but actually being a da'i and being a Muslim and a practicing Muslim, maybe it's even important to know how to operate and know about the latest technology in order to be in touch with the youth. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I believe this is something very, very important. I mean, if I would go to speak to someone who works with cars, he fixes cars, and I don't know anything about this. I mean, I don't have anything, I don't have a base which connects me to him.
Right.
So I think I would be, the wrong person to talk to him. I would rather try to find someone who has the same interests, but also is a mashallah, and also a good practicing Muslim. Because I think the first thing you should do when you try to give dawah to someone, especially in West, is that you try to tell him that you are not that different from him,
Right.
You do understand, his way of living. You do understand, the problems he's facing.
Right.
You do understand, the technology he's using. You are also using it. So when you do it, this is like an icebreaker.
Right.
And then, you have something to conversate on.
So excellent point. Thank you, brother. I look forward to hearing from you more in the episode, inshallah.
Exactly.
If we could pass the mic to the brother in the front also. Tell me, brother, your name, where you're from, and a little bit about the problems the youth are facing in your country, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Hussam Ad-Din Allam. I'm a senior student at the Faculty of Islamic Sharia and Law English, the 5th year at Al-Azhar University. Concerning my thoughts about this very important and very sensitive topic, especially nowadays, I do think that the bottom line is that it depends on how you use such a level of technology and how you use this technology for a good thing or for your own interest in a way that's best. I mean, you can use such technology in order to promote good ideas and to tell more people about Islam and also to acquire knowledge about Islam. So, very briefly, it depends on how you use it, and as Muslims, we have to use it in a way that's best to promote our skills and to acquire more knowledge.
Of course, because those iPhones, Samsung Galaxies, I know you gentlemen know as well, they have the Quran completely in translations and tafsir. You can use the Qibla finder. I mean, it could be used for a million amazing and positive things. Of course, you can also be used for many negative things as well. That's the point, I guess. Thank you, brother, for your thoughts. I appreciate it. If you could pass the mic as well. Go ahead, brother. Introduce yourself, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam, brother.
My name is Mahmoud. I'm from Egypt. I'm a teacher of English and Arabic as foreign languages. Actually, using these technologies, I'm one of those who are being trapped in using these technologies. I sometimes I like this because it saves me so much time, as I can just be emailing or preparing for the lesson I'm gonna give or something, while being in the transportation or something like this.
Right.
But sometimes I feel like I want a break out of this.
It's overwhelming, isn't it?
Yes, it's overwhelming and takes so much time. So, but generally, it makes my life easier because of communication.
Right. Okay.
And that's the purpose it's made for.
And optimizing time on your way to work, on your way to school. Yeah, you can. Yeah, so that's a positive benefit. But what about the youth in your country, Egypt? Do you think the youth are suffering? They're distracted from the deen because they're living a fast life. They're looking at girlfriends, boyfriends. They're listening to music. They're looking at materialism, and they've left following the religion of Islam. Do you feel that among the youth or no?
Yes, actually, there are some major problems, other problems, like they are being scattered between graduating and finding a job and owning these kind of fancy things like cars, iPhones, whatever. And they are trying to find a job that can balance their ordinary life and this fancy life they are seeking.
Right.
So that's kind of major.
Issue for them, yes, subhanAllah.
Yes.
Excellent point. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah, the brother in the back, if you could just introduce yourself as well. Thank you, brother.
Assalamu
Alaikum salam.
alaikum. My name is Mahmoud. I'm in the first year of medical school in Cairo University.
Oh, excellent. All right.
I'm living in Egypt here.
Well, brother, tell me about Cairo University, because I drive by every day to work and I see young kids, young boys, young
it's
girls
really
talking,
bad.
having fun. It seems like, everybody's dressed up. I remember those college days because I was a college student.
Well, the place won't be very encouraging, but I think it's, especially the medical school I'm in, young. I think it's great, one of the best medical schools in Egypt. That's why I entered it. It's the only.
Do you think among the students there are many practicing Muslims, or many of them have become distracted with the Western way of life?
No. They are a group called, I think, Medical Hala in our university.
Which means what? What does that mean, that expression and everything?
They are, Islamic Brotherhood.
Oh, okay, great.
They are keeping activities and encouraging youth from the first year as me and my friends to do the Islamic activities in the university.
Oh, great.
That's,
yeah. I think that
I'm trying to participate in it.
With that, man. Thank you, may Allah help you. Thank you so much, but I certainly appreciate it. Excellent. If we could get this brother right here in the middle as well.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. How are you?
Hi. My name is Ahmed Hamza, and I'm an AUC student.
Oh, man, wait a minute. You're from the AUC? This is like the belly of the beast, huh? So the AUC is the American University of Cairo, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what year are you?
I'm still a freshman.
Okay, so oh man, this is your first year.
Yeah.
So can you explain to me and the guests here a little bit about what goes on at the AUC? Because I'm pretty sure it's like you're overwhelmed now. It's like a lot of sensory overload. So tell me about the AUC, brother.
The people there are looking toward the Western countries, the U.S. They are really looking up to them and trying to dress like them, talk like them. And the disadvantages that they use, they take from them the negative parts also, like the like negative things like
smoking, drinking, girlfriends, boyfriends, like music.
Yeah, and technology. They are looking for the new technology to look at to be with to look at their friends. They generally look at the friends. They get a new gadget, an iPhone and Samsung S3, stuff like that, and they want to get it, a new car. Stuff like that.
Right. So, so they want to keep up with the latest stuff all the time. Competition, right?
Yeah.
But brother, what I'd like to ask you is, do you think this is something that's just natural part of growing up, or this is unhealthy? Will have a negative effect on them as they grow up. They get further away from the deen.
They get further away from the deen because their goal is to be like the Western countries, and they forget about the culture. They forget about their ethics, their deen. Everything, and I think it would be better if the things like the new technologies, like they're about 100 applications on iPhones or Samsungs that target the deen. If more Islamic programmers or software developers work on the applications to do more Islamic applications to target these youth. Because some of them, they just don't know anything about the deen. And
the video games, Dr. Baha Saleh from the AUC, he said, why don't we make Islamic video games, instead of getting points for killing each other, you get points and take hasanat for doing like giving in charity and stuff like that. But brother, real quickly, there is some brothers on campus, mashallah, practicing the deen. They're called HELP, right?
Yeah, the HELP Club. The HELP Club has a huge role in the AUC in that, and they go back from about 1999.
Okay, they've been there a while, inshallah.
Till now, and they try to help students to know about their deen and take the negative parts of the Western
culture out of
effects and cultures from them.
So
they have a lot of
activities
and events. They get a lot of da'iyas and stuff like that to talk to people every couple of months. But what's sadly is that a lot of people don't like to go to these events, and that's and I hope that could change.
You know, but thank you so much, Brother Ahmed Hamza. You know, you remind me of my good friend. You look a little bit like him. His name is Muhammad Hamza. Maybe you know him. You guys, thank you for your comments. We have about a minute before the break. If we can get the mic to this brother, Ahmed Basuni. He's a good friend of ours, a friend of Let's Talk. Thank you for coming once again, brother. All the way from
Egypt. Thank you.
MashaAllah, brother. Where did you attend your undergraduate school?
I'm graduated from Al-Azhar University, so I want to say something related to our previous.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
That we have another AUC in Egypt, which is Al-Azhar University.
Why do you say that, brother? Brother, the first graphic. MashaAllah, that's good.
In Egypt, we have another AUC, which is Al-Azhar University. I'm the owner of graduated from such a university. But I want to say, before using such a new technology things, you must have an aim or a goal before using this thing. If you have a goal when using this thing, you must prepare your intention before using this thing. And then you must know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask you about how do you use this thing. Because our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, every human being will not leave his place before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the day of judgment, before Allah will ask him about his youth and his money and his time, especially his youth. So you must take the advantage of having such a new technology and take the advantage of having good time and welfare to have to save yourself from the fire in the day of judgment, inshallah.
Thank you so much, you guys. I appreciate you guys, the guests as well. Stay tuned. You guys stay here. Don't go anywhere. We're going to take a short break, and we're going to talk more about living in the fast lane. So stay tuned.
Islam is a comprehensive way of life. It deals with everything. The Prophet ﷺ wanted to empower people, and he wanted them to feel the responsibility, not just to rely on the state. The companions radiallahu ta'ala anhum, and in particular Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, in the beginning they were not pleased and they were not proud to become the Khalifa. These days we see the candidates running to become the emirs. Islamic State has to provide all inhabitants with the basic needs. It has to fulfill their basic needs. One of the main foundations of the Islamic State is to establish justice.
You guys, thank you for staying tuned to Let's Talk and Huda TV. We have a very, very emotional, touching, powerful video we're going to show you in this segment, so don't go anywhere. You want to stay tuned. It's really interesting. It's really powerful. Like I said, it's about a young Muslim man living that fast life, and before you know it, something enormous happens. And I guess that's part of the point here. You don't know what Allah has in store for you tomorrow, so you want to seize your youth. Like the brother Basuni said in the audience. Brother, perhaps you can quote that hadith for us one time, inshallah, when you said the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, you will be held accountable for many things, including your youth. Is that right?
Yes, you're right. The Prophet ﷺ said, اغتنم خمسا قبل خمس. You must make use of 5 things before you will be in 5 things. حياتك قبل موتك. Your life before your end,
death.
Your death. صحتك قبل مرضك. Your good health before you will be sick. وغناك قبل فقرك. That means being rich before being poor.
Right.
And many things also, but the main thing is your youth before being old man.
Now.
Yes.
Yes, excellent point. Brother Mustafa, I know you're from Egypt, like some of the brothers in the audience. What do you see the Egyptian youth facing? Do you see them falling into bad practices and Western practices, bad Western practices, at the expense of their religion, or do you think they can coexist and be parallel and cooperate and be side by side?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Actually, I see that unfortunately the youth are trapped in the Western culture that is being sent to them through the media. If you look at the cinemas, for example, if you look at the TV, most of the films that are seen at the cinema or even on TV are Americans. And unfortunately, the youth do not know which is better, which is negative, which is positive, which is bad, and which is good. As the brother in the AUC have just said, like the people, they try to imitate them. And the problem is they try to assimilate with the culture. They can simply integrate with the culture and take the positive part. They can take the language, they can take the knowledge, but leave the other parts that are bad for them, like having a boyfriend or drinking wine and doing this or doing that, like doing the bad things that contradict with our religion.
Elaborate between assimilate and integrate. What do you mean?
Actually, the difference between cultural integration and cultural assimilation is like the cultural integration, I think everyone has to integrate with the culture, which means like I deal with the people from other cultures, I respect them, and I take the positive parts, like speaking the English, the language is a part of the culture. And I speak the English language. I just integrate. I take the positive part.
But not at the expense of your Arabic language.
Exactly. No, I'm proud also of my Arabic language as well, which is a part of the identity, a part of the culture. Right. But assimilation means forgetting about everything that belongs to my culture and being proud of being American, being proud of being of speaking the English language, being proud of having a boyfriend, being proud of and trying to assimilate, trying to be Americanized or trying to be whatever, forgetting everything about my culture. So I believe that everyone, we can integrate, and the AUC, for example, those people, they can integrate, they can deal with other people who come from the West, who belong to different cultures. They can get the knowledge and leave everything that contradicts with their own identity, because if they look for any other identity, they will never find any alternative. They will never find an alternative for their own identity, the identity of being an Arab. I think everyone should be proud of being an Arab. Everyone should be proud of being a Muslim. And I don't think they will ever find another alternative which is better than being a Muslim.
Of course, what you're saying is also they will never succeed in
imitating. Definitely.
Course,
you know, like they try to imitate and so on. But actually, I find that the Americans sometimes, or the English and so on, they laugh at people from the Arab countries who try to imitate them. Right. They try to imitate them. But actually they don't even succeed in this.
Right.
So they lose their own identity, and at the same time they lose the other identity.
They didn't succeed.
So they kind of, we can say, they have no identity at all.
Just to touch on that point as well, I believe we can say also it's not entirely the youth's fault, you know, because in a lot of cases, we can even say majority of the cases, you'll find that the parents did the same thing. You know, and in fact, what they're doing is basically, okay, well, I see my father, you know, he assimilated, you know, culturally, and so why shouldn't I assimilate culturally?
Exactly.
He lived in the fast lane, you know, he worked all the time, he wasn't around to, you know, so why shouldn't I do it?
I follow the example. I agree with you.
Exactly.
But brother, one thing you said be proud to be an Arab, but isn't someone who's proud to be an Arab just like someone who's proud to be an American? There's no difference between them then, right? I mean, as a Muslim, we're proud to be Muslims, right? And I understand we all have ethnic backgrounds. But if I say I'm proud to be an American, and you say I'm proud to be an Arab, then it's like...
Yes. I think everyone has to be proud of being a Muslim. I think we should have the kind of the Muslim identity. Forget about like being...
And this can come second.
Like if you were born in America or if you were born in an Arab country, but at the end of the day you are a Muslim. You have the kind of the Islamic culture. And here I'd like to highlight a point, which is the difference between the Islamic culture and a culture of a Muslim country. Because actually sometimes they contradict. sometimes you have in a Muslim country, you have a culture that some traditions that are against the Islamic culture.
Yeah.
So we can say that the Islamic culture is kind of like a culture with a capital C that is broader, and it includes other cultures as well.
Yeah.
So I think we have to be proud of belonging to the Islamic culture, but as even for the culture of a Muslim country, we can take some parts, but at the same time leave other things that contradict with the Islamic culture itself.
Excellent. I couldn't agree with you more. Well put, well said, brother. Brother Hassan, I know you lived in Dubai, in America, for some time. Before we get to that, I want to show you guys a video, and then I want to take your thoughts about living in America as a Muslim, living in Dubai as a Muslim, and also take your thoughts on this video. Brother Mustafa, you guys in the studio audience, we have an interesting, emotional, dramatic short film that was suggested to me by Brother Osama Shemi. He used it earlier this year in The Straight Path in his episode titled Messages of Allah, from Allah. So he recommended it for me, and I was certainly happy that he did so. So let's check that out now. You guys stay tuned to Let's Talk.
This is Rabi, 24 years old, a university student, an aspiring athlete, a man who takes great care of his body, loves meeting with his friends, loves his morning jogs every morning, and of course, loves himself. Oh yeah, and Rabi's a Muslim. He prays. He prays on time. He prays for forgiveness and mercy, because let's face it, Rabi's not perfect.
It's been so long, I actually can't wait to see you. Yeah, inshallah.
Like many Muslims, Rabi makes mistakes.
No, are you serious? I'm not hanging up. Please hang up.
He says and does things he really shouldn't. I'm going to miss Rabi. He just went too soon. It was unexpected. I mean, it didn't come with an announcement or anything. It feels like he just came and then left. But I guess that's life for you. It always has to come to an end. But is this really where it all ends? Does everything come to a complete stop once you die? I mean, is it all over? Today, we journey through to the final destination. They say you only live once. You know how that saying goes. Well, the reality is, that's not the case. Everything that we thought was over wasn't over at all. And everything that he had done was to determine absolutely everything to come. Rabi knows this. Rabi wants to go back.
What are you listening to? Turn it off!
Rabi wants to make a few changes.
Why are you listening to music? You know it's haram! Please turn it off! Please, Ya Allah!
He wants to clean up a few old habits as well.
Put the cigarette down. It's not worth it. You're going to pay for it.
Rabi knows he'll be judged for how he treated his body.
You're going to face Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're killing yourself. Put the cigarette down. It's not worth it. Khalas, no more. Put it out. That's it.
He also wishes that he had spent more time perfecting the actions that would actually benefit him in the future. He wished he had stayed longer in his prayers and in his supplications.
Don't rush, take your time. Astaghfirullah, make istighfar. Astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah.
And not just rushed off in a hurry to get them done all the time.
Don't leave, please don't leave.
And of course, Rabi wishes he had been stronger in fighting away his desires with the opposite sex.
No, are you serious? I'm not hanging up. Why
Please, just shut up.
Babe, please, look.
I'd
Honestly,
say
the last
that.
time you
Don't
looked
worry about her
amazing. I really
parents.
can't wait to see
Don't
you.
meet up. You're gonna die.
No.
Stop being stupid. Don't let Shaitan get to you.
Look, your
Relax.
parents are gone. It's just
shut up.
between you.
Robbie
Robbie
really didn't want to end his life
I care about you and I love you.
Please, shut up.
What do you mean married?
Don't
Don't
say
even
that.
worry about that.
He didn't want to end his life committing sins. And it wasn't until he died that he realized that he will be held accountable and have to face Allah. Every conversation he had, every cigarette he lit, every prayer he rushed, every moment he spent listening to music, it was all to be exposed. This wasn't the end of Rabi. This was just the beginning.
All right, you guys, thank you for staying tuned. Brother Hassan, before that powerful video, I asked you, I told you about what the video was, and you said you had a powerful story about a friend who was similar to this character Rabi in the story.
Yes.
Please share with us, brother.
Well, I'm not going to mention his name, but it was during the time I was living in Dubai, and I was working in a call center, and basically, this friend of mine, we became really close. We sat by each other all the time, taking calls and everything.
Muslim guy?
Yeah, Muslim.
Yeah.
Muslim. And actually, he was originally from Sudan. He was Sudanese.
Oh, okay.
So basically, over the time, I noticed he started changing. He wasn't coming to pray, he wasn't taking his breaks. And when I further looked into it, I noticed he was hanging around like some people who were basically, a bad influence on him. And next thing I knew it, what I was hearing was that he was going to clubs, he was drinking, partying, stuff like that. And I did try to advise him. I was like, what's up, man? You need to, remember that, your purpose. You know what I mean? And he had a good heart. And I felt like he wanted to change, but unfortunately, he didn't. He
just fell off track a bit.
Yeah.
And you're hoping to pull him back on board. That's all.
He was weak.
Yeah.
And so.
Especially in Dubai, brother. I've been to Dubai. It's not that easy. I see a lot of bad things there.
No,
Go ahead, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
It's not just that it's bad, but it's really, really enticing. It's attractive. It's a lot of materials.
And you use the expressions super dunya.
Super dunya. Yeah. Super dunya. Right. Or dunya on steroids.
Yeah. I've been to Dubai too. It's like Las Vegas times 100. Yeah. I've never been to Las Vegas, but I thought. Anyways, go ahead, brother. Yeah.
And even from my own personal experience, like it's a lot much. I used to work in Manhattan. I was working in Manhattan before I turned 21. And I can say that the enticement that I felt, the attraction I felt towards, being caught up in the fast life was a lot stronger
in Dubai.
Even though I was in a Muslim country. And so. What happened was, my friend, he got into an accident and he killed someone. Right? He wrecked his car. And
DUI. He was drinking and driving, and he
killed somebody. Yes, he was drinking and driving.
And he killed somebody.
Right? So he was looking. Actually, no, he did FaceTime, and he had to pay the family like 150,000 dirhams. Right? And it was like a big blow. So, it was like you would think that that was it.
Put him back on track.
Put him back on track. He didn't come back to work with us. But I did talk to him, and from what I noticed, it was like he still didn't learn his lesson. He still didn't learn his lesson. Now, it didn't stop there, because after that. He got a better job, and then he got a better car.
And more money, and more means.
More money, right? and he just continued in the same actions. And now, this time he got into an accident. He didn't kill someone this time, alhamdulillah. But he got into an accident, and I don't know, I guess the overwhelming fact that, you know, the debt of the car and the pressure, it basically compelled him to want to leave. And he thought basically that, okay, he can go somewhere else and, you know, he'll run away from his problems,
responsibilities,
you know?
right?
He had debts. He had a lot of responsibilities.
Right.
And basically what he did was he went to Malaysia. He had another friend that I was acquainted with as well.
He went to Malaysia. Before you tell us what happened, we're going to take a short break to leave the viewers in suspense.
Yeah.
You guys stay tuned to Let's Talk.
Yeah.
Islam is a comprehensive way of life. It deals with everything. The Prophet ﷺ wanted to empower people, and he wanted them to feel the responsibility, not just to rely on the state. The companions radiallahu ta'ala anhum, and in particular Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, in the beginning they were not pleased and they were not proud to become the Khalifa. These days we see the candidates running to become the emirs. Islamic State has to provide all inhabitants with the basic needs. It has to fulfill their basic needs. One of the main foundations of the Islamic State is to establish justice.
Welcome back to Let's Talk. Brother Hassan, you were sharing a very powerful story. You had said your friend had really taken a downward spiral as a result of living in the fast lane. He killed somebody, he left his responsibilities, he accumulated debt, and he left Dubai to go to Malaysia. Then what happened, brother?
So, sure enough, he had, like I was saying, he had another friend of his there. And I was also acquainted with him, and I know that this guy also was not a good influence. In fact, I remember having a situation where I was almost enticed or attracted to
fall
by
into
him,
stuff.
to fall into a situation. But so basically, so he's in Malaysia now. He's still doing the same thing, and sure enough, he got into another accident, and Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. He did not survive this one. He died. Yeah. So
that's a very powerful story, brother. You know, I had a friend that also passed away, but every time I tell the story, I cry, and so I don't want to share. But thank you for sharing your story. And this is a very powerful story and a powerful message for every single one of us. SubhanAllah. Thank you for sharing that, brother. Let's go to the studio audience and comment on Brother Hassan's very powerful story, as well as that video, because they're really the same thing. That gentleman was having fun in life, and perhaps he was a good guy, but Allah took him at that time. And just like Hassan's friend here, who was a good person, and then he got distracted, sidetracked, and then Allah took him after having a car accident. So, brother, share your thoughts.
Well, as they say, a picture says more than 1,000 words. The video was, it had a very powerful message. And in the end, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make the difference between people, according to their belief, how much, they feared Allah. So this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes the difference between us. The heart is something which is covered for us. We are not able to see what's inside that heart. It's only between him and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he will be judged for what he did. And this is a very good message from the video, from that perspective, because it gives you wake up signal, which tells you, that all the things, if you don't have Islam as the ground, or the base, or if you don't have Islam as a filtering system where it tells you where to break and when to go for it, then you will end up, doing like these things, because you don't have anything, giving you a signal when you're doing something, telling you this is wrong.
Yeah, of course.
Stop with it.
Of course, but it's even a message for the practicing Muslims to remind us that death comes at any time.
Definitely.
Yeah, subhanAllah.
So, definitely it is a very good message, since, all these things, fancy things, if you don't have anything that says stop, it is the effect of all these things is that it is intoxication.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as drinking, alcohol. This guy, he feels something, inside him when he has, the special car. When he's driving that car, if he has a Jeep, he's sitting higher than the other one, or he has a fancy, Hummer, or I don't know what, or a fancy, costume,
or he's bodybuilding, he's strong.
Exactly, bodybuilding or whatever it might be, So, of course, all these things, it is an intoxication. If you don't have anything, as I said, if you don't have Islam as a ground or a base, to tell you, stop, this is enough, this is the result of it.
Yeah, subhanAllah. Thank you, brother, for your thoughts. Brother, if you could, brother, if you can get your thoughts on that video as well.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Of course, yes, it's a very powerful video, and it's full of lessons and very important and vital information. And I can mention among them the following. First of all, life is short, and this is why we have to always be prepared for this moment, which is to breathe our last and to face the end and to be ready for this. So we have to always be ready for this moment. Yes.
Yeah.
And also, second of all, I do believe that with the picture and with the image of this video in mind, we always have to remember how that after his death, all this type of all the things he did, and we can see him going back and holding himself accountable for all what he did. So I think we can take a lesson from this, and we can apply this, that whenever we do anything in our life, we have to picture him besides us and telling us whether this is something good for our hereafter, or something bad that we are going to be regretful for, and we are going to be very, very, very sorry for that.
Excellent point. Thank you, brother, for your...
This is enough, and we can now pass the mic.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Actually, for me, the movie is kind of shocking, not powerful, and not only powerful. It's a kind of shocking. The idea I liked in the movie that it showed his life as kind of balanced between good and evil, something which most of us is living right now, and they feel that that is okay, this is good, okay. But the idea I liked that after showing him living this kind of satisfying and balanced life. His life came to an end suddenly, and then he's now regretting, and he could do more of the good things. So this kind of a hint to us: don't get satisfied with your balanced life.
Yeah,
you will regret even the evil times, even if they are short or they are not that much, but you are going to regret this soon.
Yeah.
And actually, the difference between the movie and Brother Hassan's friend story is his friend had a signal or hint before his death by the first accident,
sure.
But this person didn't have any. So that's the main difference between both
stories.
That's a
great point.
But both of them are sharing the same idea of living a balanced life and being satisfied with it. And then after that, you're going to regret anything.
Sudden death, yes. Thank you, brother.
I think it's very I remembered an accident. It happened to one of my friends from about a month. He has died in an accident like that. But I looked at it in another perspective. He died just before the Adha feast.
Oh.
After the Arafah fasting.
Yeah.
So I think it's about his intention. He was going out and hanging out every day with us. Everybody was crying about him, but I looked at it from another perspective. I think it's one of the best moments to die in. It's all about his intention.
Right. Yeah. Different perspective, yeah. I see your point, brother. Sudden death, but different perspective, different intention, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, brother. I certainly appreciate it. May Allah bless. Go ahead, brother. Give me your thoughts on that video, because I think maybe a lot of the kids at the AUC fit that mold, huh?
Yeah.
A lot of the kids really, I mean, I know I'm laughing, but it's really serious, isn't it? A lot of the kids at the AUC, perhaps they fall into that category with the technology, lifting weights, talking to the girls, but they don't know when death is going to come.
Yeah. Well, I find that this video really inspiration, and it made me think a lot about a lot of things, like as he flashed back his what wrong he did, or what are the mistakes that he have done before. It makes me think, if every day I start to flash back what mistakes I have done and how could I fix them the next day. And what's bad is that the shaitan in every one of us tries to cover our memory, our thoughts, and make us think that things like listening to music while jogging, or flirting or talking to girls and stuff like that, are simple things that couldn't take us to when we die, to Jahannam or stuff like that. But such thing that the shaitan makes us think they are simple, they are really huge. And if we count the things that we do daily, simple stuff that as we think they are, we could find a lot of huge amounts of zunub that could cover up mountains.
Yeah, subhanAllah.
So we need to start thinking about what's wrong, what are the wrong stuff that we are doing every day.
Inshallah.
And I hope that everyone starts to flash back
and think about it, yeah. Thank you, brother. I certainly appreciate your comments. And having said that, really quickly, fast lane, one way to get out of the fast lane, I think, is, I encourage brothers and sisters to do, is get married. Simply get married, right? I mean, this helps you get out of, you can focus and leave these distractions. Get married. It's wonderful. Yeah. You can have a relationship with women and men. Just marry her, and you can have a wonderful life, right? You know, that's what I hope that everybody can achieve that goal, have that as a goal, to get married and to achieve that goal. Brother Ahmed in the corner, if you could give me your thoughts on that video, brother, I appreciate it.
Yes. Actually, the situation is very important to think about it. Think about the loss of everyone. And putting this in your mind, that you will stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Before doing anything, you must keep an intention in your mind before doing anything. Use any machine. Get in your house any technology, new technology, but keep in your mind, what will you do with this thing? What is your intention behind using this thing? And then keep asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during all your times to give you a good end. That's called in our religion Husnul Khatimah. Keep asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make you die on a good thing, because our Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said in a sound hadith, إن الله إذا أحب عبدا استعمله. قالوا كيف يستعمله يا رسول الله؟ قال يوفقه إلى عمل صالح ثم يقبضه عليه. Which means in English, whomsoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to give him a good end, make use of him in the right or in the straight way of Islam. And then the Sahaba say to the Prophet, what is the right way of the Islam, Ya Rasulullah? He said, to make the last thing for person is a good thing in his life. The last thing he did in his life is a good thing, and then he died. And I have a situation and a story of one of my close friends, one of my friends in my work. His name was Kareem, rahimahullah. He was a young man, he was a youth, and he did anything that you thought about a youth man who has no rules in his life, and he keep doing things in his life alone. He lost his father and he lost his mother. And then, subhanallah, before he died, it was only 1 week, wallahi, I swear, it was only 1 week. I found him struggling with his manager in his work to leave him to pray. And he came to me in my office and said, give me your slipper. I lost the prayer of Al-Asr in the first Jama'ah. Please. And then he came the next day, he said, what the meaning of this ayah?
SubhanAllah.
What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to say to me. And then I found him praying to me a very, very strange video with a very old lady. He's speaking about being pleased with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decree that He gave to you. One of the presenters said this very, very cheap, not cheap, but a very, very, not rich man. She's a poor man. And the presenter said to her, what do you need, mother? Do you need a house? Do you need a flat? Do you need the money? She said, no. I felt pleased with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by living this life. And then, after 2 days, I heard that he's died. And subhanAllah, I think that is a good end for him. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make him in the paradise, inshallah.
I mean, thank you so much for that comment, Brother Akram. I certainly appreciate it. You guys, we posted this on Facebook as well. And we got some interesting comments. So we posted, do you think Muslim youth today are living life in the fast lane with all the technology and fast-paced life? What kind of challenges does that cause in your deen? Please share your thoughts. MashaAllah, we have many, many, many comments. One sister says, excuse me, the first comment, if we can get those on the screen now, is by Med Jersey, who says, only one life that soon is past. Only what's done for Allah will last. A nice piece of poetry with 3 likes. The second comment is from what appears to be a Bosnian sister. Her name is Svetlana. Brother, do you know how to pronounce that? I know you're originally from Kosovo. Once again? SV like Victor, Svetlana. Oh, either way, she has a nice comment. I'm sorry, brother, put you on the spot. She says, guys, to see girls wearing hijab, standing in the street, smoking, and openly, quote-unquote, choosing guys, it's very sad. Well, thank you for that comment, sister. It's a reminder for all of us to stay away and get out of the fast lane. We have Mustafa Dabugi, who says, I think the glamour and ease associated with technology has gotten to some youth. But, he says, alhamdulillah, others are using the technology to propagate Islam. Another great comment, Marwa Karwi says, unfortunately nowadays the youth use technology in a wrong way to make it, in a wrong way most of the time, a danger that is a threat to their iman and deen. If we go down just a little bit, the brother Noor Dean Mamodo, he says, there is more temptation. There is more temptation, he says, and it is getting more and more difficult to resist with each passing day, especially when you are taxed as, or labeled, I think he means, as old-fashioned or extremist just for resisting fitna. We have Ismail Espanol, mashallah. He says, may Allah help us all. Let me just read the first comment one more time, who says, from Med Jersey, he says, a nice piece of poetry. Only one life, that soon is past. Only what's done for Allah will last. You guys, thank you for watching Let's Talk. I certainly appreciate it. I hope this had a positive effect on your life. If you're living in the fast lane, it's not too late to pull over and get back on track. You guys, until next time, I leave you in the care of Allah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the dips are high, and you want to smile but have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but do not ever quit. Success is a failure turned inside out. Let's talk and clear the clouds of doubt. Success is a failure turned inside out.